So it is Monday, December 18th, 6:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Committee of Development and Government Relations. My name is Tessa Murphy-Romboletti. I'm the chair. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're joined by our committee members here, Councilor Bartley, Councilor McGivern, Councilor Rivera, Councilor Vacan. I don't see any councilors on Zoom, but we're joined by lots of folks in the audience, so thank you all for being here. We're also joined by Councilor-elect Patty Devine, and this meeting's being recorded on Zoom and is available on our public access station. And just a heads up for those who are tuning in, if you require translation, live translation. Oh, they're here?
Madam Chair, one did just arrive.
Awesome, perfect. Then the meeting will be translated. Perfect, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to take item one.
I'll make a motion to take up item one.
And open the reopen the public hearing. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is the special permit application of Salmar Realty for a special permit for a proposed coffee shop drive-through restaurant at the South Street Plaza, 209 South Street. This has been continued several times, and we were contacted by the company that is being contracted by the applicant, and they have asked us to extend the public hearing until January 2024 to allow the applicant time to submit proper materials to the council. So we need to pick another date. I know we discussed this before. Ordinance has something scheduled in January, but
We just chose a date that was in the pattern
Yeah.
that had occurred, knowing there will be a whole new city council and
Right.
committees.
right.
And then left enough leeway within the month that whoever is chairing would have enough time if they needed to change it,
Okay.
or they could just go on, call the meeting to order and continue it if needed.
Okay. Okay.
So it could be dealt with.
Okay. So we could do that at the date. Should we do the same date or a different one?
Well, if
I know the last time we sort of talked about.
I would suggest that if you think the committee would continue in a similar pattern,
Yeah.
potentially,
Yeah.
to choose what the next date, approximately a month from today, would be.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then that would be what I,
Well, let me just pull that up right here.
because we have to go to a date and time certain.
Makes sense. So that would be January 15th or 22nd is, when is Martin Luther King Day?
15th.
15th. So maybe we just say the 22nd
To give a little more time.
or the 29th. Anyone?
I will make a suggestion that you go as far as you can.
Okay.
You also have to have new committees. You know what the standing committees are, but new committees have to be formed, new chairman, new members,
Okay.
and,
So I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to January 29th at 6:30.
Is there a second?
we have any idea, if I could, Madam Chair?
Sure, of course. Discussion.
What the delay is?
I've heard multiple things. I've heard that it was a staffing thing on their end. Then I haven't heard much else. I don't know if others
I
have.
mean, it sounds like a good project if it can be done correctly.
Yes. Seems like maybe it was submitted too early before everything was lined up. But so on the motion, all those in favor for continue the public hearing to January 29th
Aye.
at 6:30 p.m.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Great, so moved, Jan 29th, 6:30 p.m. Okay, motion to take item 2 off the table and reopen the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. So This is for the special permit application of O'Connell Professional Nurse Service, DBA O'Connell Care at Home, per 8.4.0 Professional Office Overlay District to operate a professional office at 1763 Northampton Street. This has been continued from the November 20th public hearing. The reason we continued it at that time was because there was additional information. The planning board had not yet had the opportunity to review and provide the city council with their recommendations or their feedback. And so since then, I believe the planning board met this past Tuesday, and it was discussed. And so we have been provided with a letter, a communication from the planning department staff. There's definitely some things that we need to discuss. So, I mean, our applicants are here this evening. If you'd like, again, you can have a seat here. And I'll also wait to see if there's anyone else from the public who's here. This is a public hearing. So, if I may, I just wanted to check, have you seen the letter from the planning department? Okay, we got this on Friday, so had the weekend to look at it. And if I'll read some things into the record. I don't know if you guys, if the committee would like me to go through the entire letter, I'm happy to do that. But it says, the planning department staff has reviewed the site plan for a special permit request submitted to the city clerk's office on October 17th and received by the planning staff on November 27th in connection with an application for professional care at home office within the professional office overlay district, which is known as, abbreviated as POOD, to be located at 1763 Northampton Street. This is a re-tenanting of an existing 1,500 square foot real estate professional office and is zoned R2. I hereby offering the following questions and comments. A detailed review of the application follows below, but we offer these points as a summary of the major areas which we believe need to be addressed. So I'll read the summary part. I won't go through every single point. I also recognize you have not seen this letter. First, there is a concern regarding whether the proposed business is consistent with the criteria set forth by the City Council 3 decades ago for the Professional Office Overlay District. The POOD was established in order to preserve historic structures within its neighborhood and to preserve its traditional residential character while allowing for business uses that would maintain the character while providing residential owners with some ability to defray the costs of maintaining these structures. In order to balance these public interests, absentee ownership was deemed detrimental to the POOD, and a requirement for owner occupancy was written into the POOD ordinance. And then it references the zoning ordinance, section 8447. The applicant is the owner and occupier of the premises or has a valid purchase and sale agreement. While the applicant in this case is the owner of the property, he is not the proposed occupier. While we feel the proposed professional business likely fits the intention of the POOD well, the City Council, as permit granting authority, must find and articulate a way to address the fact that the application does not conform with the ordinance as currently written, and to do so without undermining the rationale for the POOD. Second, we do not have information that allows us to find the proposal would provide the quantity of parking required under our ordinance. It is possible, however, that the plan does provide parking, which would, in practice, be adequate for the proposed use of the building. We therefore strongly suggest the council gain more clarity from the applicant about the actual parking needs. If realistically the applicant needs less parking than our ordinance demands, they could file for a special permit for parking reduction under section 617 to resolve the issue. Items set forth in our full letter below that pertain specifically to parking include required setbacks from the property line, conflict with walkway, parking spaces proposed within the front yard, which is not allowed under our ordinances, possibly incorrect counting of spaces available to be leased on adjacent property. Under our ordinance, the proposed use needs at least 15 spaces, and our review suggests there are only 7 to 8 spaces available which meet the ordinance. However, as noted above, this may be adequate for their needs with a special permit for parking reduction. We emphasize these questions in part because while the applicant's business did have the appropriate permits for parking and for all others referenced in our full letter, while his business occupied the site, those permits expired with the cessation of the use as a matter of law. One reason for the requirement that new special permits issue with the change in use is so that the city council can examine any changed circumstances that would affect the operation of the site. In addition, the change in use tenancy is an opportunity for the city to work to bring non-conforming uses into compliance with our ordinance. Any deviation from the ordinances the council may choose to permit, however well-intentioned, should be documented and given a clear rationale so as to maintain the integrity of the ordinance for future applicants. We therefore recommend that any such deviation be reviewed by the law department before the council adopts it. So that's the first part. I won't go line by line on these. Folks, the members of the committee can ask any questions related to that. So I'm gonna pause because I just read a lot of information at you all. I'm gonna see if any of our committee members have questions first.
Joe, you want to go ahead?
Can I make a motion to adopt the special permit?
I'll second it.
Under discussion?
We adopted the ordinance. We understood that over time that the occupants and owners of the building would eventually sell and uses would change. And we have the applicants before us with a use change where they've detailed most of what the planning department just talked about, including parking. Parking is not changing from what is being used on the Gallagher property for the original purpose of the overlay. Signage is not changing. The use is different. It's not that much different. As a matter of fact, from listening to the applicants, there's going to be less employees, less people on the property itself. There is no need for people who are hiring the nurses from O'Connell Nursing to come to the property, with exception when there might be an exceptional type of situation to be addressed. If anything, it's less detrimental to the neighborhood. We heard from Mr. Gallagher, and this is the part that bothered me from the beginning of the overlay, is by calling it a special permit, is we heard from Mr. Gallagher. I believe it was $150,000, $175,000 he put into the property. We need to protect that investment of an individual doing something that we asked them to do to protect this neighborhood, to protect Northampton Street, so that we didn't give a bunch of zone changes like the dentist's office by the cemetery or the doctor's office and things that we did over the years, and the existing commercial districts that are already on Northampton Street. We don't want Northampton Street to turn into what happened in West Springfield. We want to protect that, and we want to protect the residential character. Despite the use change, this applicant and what is proposed is doing all of that, in my opinion.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Bartley, and I also just want to recognize that City Council President Tom McGee is here.
Thank you. I have a slightly different take than my good friend Joe, but I'm all in support of this. So what we did was, we meaning me, we at the last meeting we tabled it for more information because we want to go in the proper order. That was about to not happen at the last meeting, and this is why you go in proper order, because now we have the planning board letter. We also have the petitioner brought in proof of tenancy, which is almost proof of ownership too, right? It doesn't own the property, but we have proof that they have an ownership interest through their tenancy. So those are two important things that we had to do. At this point, I absolutely want to thank, and you don't hear this too often from me, the planning board for its diligence on this. And I wanted specifically to thank Chairman Panich and the rest of them for putting together a very cogent letter that laid it all out pretty clearly. And ultimately, they say it's this body that has a special permit granting authority. Now, we've had many debates over that over the course of time, But this is why we have it. This is why that power has to stay in this particular, not this entity, but the city council. Because you just heard the prior speaker explain why. Because without that kind of common sense approach, common sense sometimes gets overwhelmed by form instead of substance. In this case, we don't want that to happen. So I'm glad that we had enough votes the last time to at least table it. I think it ended up being unanimous, but it took a minute. It took a minute to do it, and but we went in the right order and we did it the right way, as what we should be doing. So we followed the ordinance and we heard from planning, and now I think we should move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McGee?
Yep, thank you. Just want to speak in favor of this. It's well known I've known Mr. Gallagher for quite some time. If you look at his history in the city, he takes properties, he fixes them up beautifully, and he can go anywhere he wants as a realtor. He can go anywhere. He chooses to stay here. He moved right across the street from the house that was falling apart, fixed it up, came here, followed the same rules when he did the house. So he's not a stranger to us. He follows the rules to a T to make sure that it's done correctly and respects this body immensely. That's why he does everything. We've had people come before us and said, oh, I didn't know. You know they did it. And then they're asking for forgiveness. He doesn't do that. So you have a well-respected business owner who could go anywhere. He chooses to stay right here. And if you drive by the property, and I have, look what he's already done to it. The type of work and everything and fixing it up. So to me, he puts the investment in, he stays in the city. And I think Joe, our Councilman Garrett, said it correctly, it was Holyoke Peds. That's a lot of traffic. And then it was Goss McLean. That's a lot of traffic. It's an insurance company. They travel all over the place. The traffic probably is now going to be minimized over there. But, you know, to me, I fully respect what the planning board is saying. I respect what they're trying to do. But this building has come before us before. We vetted it. We have another owner coming in doing the same thing that Goss McLean was doing. There's nothing different here. It's actually less impactful to the residents, especially Sydney Ave. So to me, I request and hope that this board will approve this so that they can go forward with their next steps of continuing to be business owners in the city of Holyoke. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. So I am in favor of this special permit, but I was listening to the part where they were talking about the ordinance and owner occupied, and I didn't know if we should try to include any language that articulates the degree and extent of the investment relative to the property to somehow separate it from others, or if that may not be necessary. But in any event, I am in support of the permit, but I did hear that part of their letter.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilor Bacon, because I understand what the intent of the professional overlay office district is, and why it 30 years ago said there should be owner occupied. I also recognize that there's other businesses within the professional overlay district who adhere to that part of the ordinance. So for me, I was going to ask, I don't want this to get in the way of anything. I just want to make sure that, like Councilor Bacon said, if there is something that we should include in the special permit as a condition, or, the law department's on this call, correct?
Mm-hmm. I see Attorney Bissonnette.
Okay, Attorney Bissonnette. Hello. You're on mute.
Let's try that. Good evening.
Good evening. So were you listening to that part about the, would the law department if there's like any suggestions on a condition that could be added to the special permit. Just thinking what this could implicate in the future, if it changes anything.
In this situation, it might be good to add Gallagher as continuing to be the owner of the property as a condition of allowing his tenant to use the property under a lease.
Okay, so under the assumption that, say, you sold the property and then that special permit is no longer good.
Back to the council with a new owner.
Okay,
So any transfer of that property would have to come before the council because of the special permit.
Councilor Brown. Oh,
If somebody didn't want the special permit, I suppose they could let it just lapse.
okay. Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I've heard what Attorney Bissonette said, and I think the current ordinance says that the overlay district doesn't run with the land, it runs with Mr. Gallagher. So if Mr. Gallagher did sell it, then that would be the end of that special permit. I would agree, however, now that I've had a chance to think on it for half a second, the condition should likely be something to the effect, and I'll run this through the chair, through to Mike, to the effect that the tenant shall remain O'Connell professional, and should there be a change in the tenancy, then that terminates the special permit. Now, I have no problem making that motion, but I want to do that until Mike has a chance to think on it. Mike?
Yeah, that can also be a condition, certainly, Counselor,
That makes sense.
because this is who is actually going to be served by this change in the special permit for Gallagher. You're simply changing it to allow a tenant to come in. So it still runs with Paul Gallagher and Gallagher Real Estate. And that's an excellent point. I think that's probably how it should be stated in the special permit.
Okay, Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, and Mike, just through the chair, Mike, just to continue that thought, would it make sense, Mike, to maybe amend the ordinance to redefine what ownership is, so we don't have to go through these gymnastics again if this comes up? So in other words, ownership can be a case like Mr. Gallagher, but ownership could be a tenancy is that there is a property interest. So maybe if you want, the law department wants to consider giving us some language relative to amending that part of the ordinance to redefine what ownership means, to maybe include tenants. So that's just an aside, Mike. You don't have to answer it, but I'm just for your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to pause and see, is there anyone from the public here tonight specifically related to this agenda item? All
I'll
right.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, Joe.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, Joe. No, you go ahead.
I just before we close the public hearing, I think we should just address the parking that you outlined to us to protect you, from the city ordinance. And I believe it was the 8 or 9 spots on the property, which is what's been used for the special permit, and you have access to a couple spots across the street. How many was that?
I own both buildings.
Make sure you're, there you go.
So I own both buildings, and in the proposed plan that I submitted to the planning board, I think I gave them whatever else was needed to satisfy the requirement, and that's the huge parking lot where Holyoke Peds.
Right, familiar,
used to be.
yes.
So we've got plenty of.
Okay, I get the planning board's doing their job, and they do it well. But, they weren't here at the first public hearing, so I think once they understand that, they'll be fine. I just think it should be included on the permit to make sure, we understood it and that, we're in favor of it.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the special permit with the following conditions. One, that the permit is conditioned upon the current lessee remaining in its tenancy. That makes sense. And the second one is that the owner of the property, namely Mr. Gallagher, or the entity that he controls, shall supply sufficient parking to meet the criteria relative to the overlay district.
Okay. Yes, is there a second? Or,
I'll second it, but I also wanted to add that we wanted to be sure that he maintained ownership of the property also, right?
Say that again, Linda?
We wanted to also assure that Mr. Gallagher retains ownership of the property during the tenancy.
Madam Chair?
yes.
Yeah, so the ordinance, through Chair Linda, so the way I understand the ordinance is that if Paul sells 1763 then that's it.
Anyway? Okay.
It's gone, yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't, it
not
doesn't run with the
necessary.
land, it runs with Mr. Gallagher.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem.
Wants to be
Check
recognized.
clarification.
Yes.
Did you close the public hearing?
We can take a vote on it.
No, we didn't vote on it.
Thank you, Joe.
Wait.
Well, we
Am I-
partially
am I
voted
crazy?
and then,
I don't.
We made a
and
motion,
then
but we didn't vote.
We might,
Counselor
We all said
McGivern.
aye.
I did. but
Okay.
Counselor McGivern didn't.
Okay, all right, sorry about that. I got it. No, it's good. It's good. Motion, okay, wait.
I'll make a
now we have-
motion to close the public hearing.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to grant the permit based upon the aforesaid.
Second.
Yeah.
Third.
Under discussion, I have one last question. Just because this came up for another public hearing that we just did for a special permit. Are these plans signed off by us with the seal from an architect?
Yes.
Okay,
Ron Goodrow
okay,
from Holyoke.
all right. Okay, on the motion, just the two conditions that the permit is, conditioned on the leasee, and that you guys will be the tenant, and that the Gallagher will stay owner, but that's already in the ordinance. So the second one was, the owner of the property shall supply the sufficient parking. Got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Tomorrow we have a full city council meeting. This will get brought to the full council for discussion and everyone will vote on it. And this is just a special permit for this use. So the parking requirements, like that kind of stuff, that's separate. So, just always like to say that. Anything else?
Just to add, and wish you the best of luck, and thank you for coming home. But there's only 5 or 6 of these permits in existence, and there's not been a problem with one of them. You know, and I think they've lived up to the intentions of the council, and the character of Northampton Street has been protected because of this. And investors are always welcome in the city. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, now I've lost my agenda.
Motion to take up item 3 and open the public hearing.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go, okay. Item number 3 is a public hearing for the special permit application of James K. per section 721 to operate a gasoline station and convenience store at 820 High Street. We are joined by the applicant this evening. Thank you for being here. If you guys want to come on in, have a seat, and just make sure that you're, if the green light's on, that's your microphone, so folks at home can hear you. Welcome. So I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves and your project, and then I will pause to see if there's anyone from the public who's here for the public hearing, and then we'll open it up to questions from my colleagues here, and we'll go from there. Does that sound good? Okay. So Why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you're proposing? I have your special permit application right here, and you filled out the application to operate a gas station and convenience store, and we have some more information, but I will let you just introduce yourselves.
Good evening, my name is Bradford Moyer. I'm an attorney, I have an office in Westfield. I'm here with Mr. Kay. I actually represent the present owner.
Okay.
In looking through this, we found a kind of interesting situation with the history of this parcel. We found that it goes back quite a few years, but there was a special permit issued back in 1995 to Belcher. And it was conditioned on him continuing to own the real estate, so it didn't run with the land. What confused us is that when the current owner, Holyoke, purchased it, no special permit was applied for. So it was really confusing. So when we did a public records request in Holyoke, we found, first attached to the application as exhibits 2 and 3 are the recorded special permits with that condition in it. But when we got the Freedom of Information request, we found one in 2017. The current owner got a special permit for a sign and was not told or informed about the special permit requirement for the operation. So I'm not saying, I don't know what happened there. But in looking back even further, Exhibit 4 and 5, where it's really interesting, your building commissioner issued a business zoning certificate saying that it was a legal use with no other requirements. And based on that, the owner that sold to our client sold within the next week or two. So I think what happened is, and I don't know why the attorneys for the current owner, we didn't represent him buying, didn't find that either. So we're here today because there was a little bit of confusion. We want to straighten it out. We made an application in the name of the current owner just to see if you needed it to run with the land, but we also made it in the name of the prospective purchaser, Mr. K, and that's
Okay.
why he's here.
Okay.
So our request is for that special permit, and he's, sorry, I'm getting teeth put in, and I've got this, drives me nuts. He's applied, he's has set up a ER Energy LLC that's gonna own the real estate, but the service station, gas station, and convenience store are going to be run by Robert K. LLC. So I don't know who you would issue the permit to, probably the owner of the convenience store or the owner of the real estate. That's the first question I have for you. So
Okay.
basically, we're asking to do the same operation that's there now.
Yep. Okay. Councilor McGivern, did you want to say something?
If I could, I said this when this got received by the full city council, and I thought we referred this to the law department for an opinion, but since that special permit was I'm going a little bit by memory here, since that special permit, and there was a number of special permits like that issued to gas stations around the city, we amended the ordinance to allow convenience stores and sale of convenience items outright on gas station properties. So I'm not aware of any special permit to issue, so I think the building commissioner was right.
Well, when I looked at, respectfully, when I looked at the zoning ordinance, it did say this was a special permit requirement.
Any chance you talked to somebody in the zoning department?
Well, we actually got an opinion from your city solicitor, too. I didn't attach it, but your building commissioner had responded to us, or your zoning, I forgot his name, and attached a copy of an opinion from the law office that said we had to do this application. Let me see if I can find it.
So I got a communication, we all got a communication from Jeffrey on this that said, because he sent this around to all the different departments, and the planning department said, there's no provision in the zoning ordinance calling for planning staff review. It is, and this is section 721, it is solely a decision of DGR City Council based on 721 and 93.
No, so
But I don't, if you have an opinion from the law department.
I do, I did have one, and that's what triggered it. We got it. I don't think I brought that part of the file. It was triggered by Mr. Kay's attorney requesting a zoning determination, maybe. And with that came the opinion of the city attorney that it had to have a special permit.
Okay. Mike, would that opinion have maybe come from you? Are you familiar with this?
I am not, Madam Chair. I suspect that that Jane probably had reviewed it and maybe issued the opinion on it. But I haven't seen that opinion, so I can't really share her thinking on it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, Madam Chair?
yes, Councilor Bradley.
Just give me half a second to get here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, okay, so, and this is always to the chair, so I don't have to keep saying that. So, Attorney Moyer, I don't have any kind of a legal opinion.
Yep.
I don't have any kind of a zoning opinion. I have a little email that we got saying that it doesn't say, so I have 721 in front of me right now. And I'm just gonna, and then I'll look at 9.3 in a second, but it's I'm just glancing through it to see if I can see where it says, okay, in accordance with 9.3, City Council, oh, there you go. Okay, and here's a question. So I think Councilor McGivern, can I use your name in vain again, Joe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, can I keep doing that. And
After tomorrow night, it's all over.
well, and I know better. I know better than we're not supposed to use names, but I do it. I do it for Joe. So I think Councilor McGivern is more right than wrong when I look at this. So it's a when ordinances say may as opposed to shall, we just want to be very cautious, and so I'm of the opinion that I don't think we have to issue a special permit, is what I'm saying, but the language of the ordinance kind of says, well, you may do it. So and I don't think that's a may as a vote. I think it's may as you may want to do it, you may not want to do it. In this case, I think out of an abundance of caution that we probably should consider taking a vote on the special permit. And then to your follow-up question, I don't think the permit runs with the building owner is the way I read it, not the business entity. So whatever entity is owning the bricks should have the permit, and whatever entity is owning the business is subject to.
Okay.
That's how I would.
That's
how I would think about it.
Respectfully, I found this. I should have can I approach and give you a copy of this?
Absolutely.
It's called a zoning verification letter. And it's really interesting because it's from David Pasek.
Oh, Devin?
And attached,
Davin? Yeah, Davin Pasek. That's, yeah.
That's our new
and
guy.
attached is the determination by Jane.
Monteleschi.
Attorney.
So, and this is what she says. So if you look at that, that's the only reason why we.
You know, yes, Jeffrey, we didn't get this though, right?
I remember seeing
I don't remember actually. Okay. So I'm just going to read this. On 10/20/2023, the request for a zoning verification letter was submitted by Henry Cropsey Esquire as of 10/23. The property at 820 High Street, also identified by the map block parcel of 090209, is zoned BH Business Highway Business. In the City of Holyoke zoning ordinances under 5.2 table, this parcel does not meet all the current regulations set forth to be developed, built on, and/or used for normally as-of-right purposes. This parcel does not meet the 100 feet of required depth. However, our records indicate that this is a pre-existing non-conforming lot of record. According to the table of principal uses, number 15, a motor vehicle service station is an allowable use in the BH zone with a special permit from the City Council. A special permit was issued by City Council for the operation of a gasoline station and convenience store with conditions. This special permit was recorded at the Hampden County Registry of Deeds. Non-transferable clause was added as a condition. Therefore, it has been determined that the continued use of gasoline station and convenience store will require a new special permit from the City Council. The determination made by Attorney Jane Manchaleski of the City of Holyoke Solicitor's Office has been included at this letter. And that's from Jane, and it just outlines the 7.2.1 of the zoning ordinance.
You can keep that as part of the record, too.
Thank you. Okay. So,
So that's what,
that being said, Councilor Bartley mentioned that it goes usually to the owner.
that's fine.
So with that, I mean, we can go through, I have 7.2.1 here, and then the criteria for any, for city council special permits, is also, have that available. Counselor, were you gonna say something? Yes, sir.
The issue, I voted for the original special permit, and I was not a big fan of these type of permits and gas stations from the beginning, but we did it by special permit because, as we now know, you don't open a gas station without a convenience store. And, you know, it's just a way of life in America. And we amended the language to read this use as an outright use for a gas station. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. So my concern is, I'm not against it, but my concern is we're setting a precedent because there are gas stations out there that do this without a special permit because they don't need one.
Counselor Bacon?
Point of information. If we give the special permit for the gas station and then the convenience store is just there with it, then aren't we in effect doing what has been done for the others?
I think, I understand, but I think we're opening up a whole can of worms. And competition in America needs to be fair. And we've been sued for, not just Holyoke, but a lot of municipalities have been sued when there's not a level playing board. You know, time of operation for a special permit. You can't let, you know, make one be 9 to 9 and the other one make them close at 5 because whatever reason. Fair, you know, it's, to me, it just isn't fair. It's an existing use. It's not a different use. I get the change. But who's the new owner? Who's the new owner? Okay. And who's doing the, well, if someone's selling in a convenience store, where's the gas going to be sold out of?
The gas is gonna be sold out of the convenience store, right? Yeah,
So it's not separate. It's not separate, right?
not separate.
It's not separate.
Right, so what I was saying is if we give a special permit for the gas station, aren't we all set?
Gas station doesn't need a special permit. This is not a gas station special permit, though.
This is a motor vehicle service station with fast food and/or
Right.
convenience goods.
It's only the convenience store that's in that language. It's only selling convenience store products at a gas station location. Gas station exists. Gas station's been there forever. You know, we did this with the corner up above, which is now, not even sure what it is. Not a Pride station. Is it a Pride
Well,
station? Yeah.
The language is a little confusing because it says to operate a gasoline station and convenience store.
Right.
So it's a little confusing.
Now I understand, yeah, but that is not the purpose of the special
Okay.
permit.
If I can maybe help with this little issue a little bit. I looked back at the definitions in the ordinance. That's always where I start. Because I was a little confused with the phrase motor vehicle service station, thinking it meant something more than just gas. So your definitions say a motor vehicle service station is a filling station with gasoline pumps where no major repairs. Then just below it, it says motor vehicle service station with fast food and or convenience goods. An automotive service station including the sale of convenience items or fast food as those as defined. So it clearly differentiates. And I didn't look at other parts of your ordinance to see if you did have something that said it's like it's an incidental use under gas station. I didn't see that. And I saw that this was a special permit category. So my concern was the records for this property say that that special permit doesn't run with the land. Initially, when Mr. K's attorney contacted Davin, he initially said nothing was needed. So there was some confusion there. He thought it ran with the land. Then he sought the opinion of, and I'll kill her last name, Jane, whatever.
Yep.
And that's when we got involved and said, fine, we've got to straighten this out, because nobody's going to lend, nobody's going to do anything, because on its face, it clearly says I have to get a special permit.
Right.
Because it's made a difference between a motor vehicle service station and a motor vehicle service station with fast food and or convenience goods.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's my dilemma.
Yeah.
Right.
I see Councilor Rivera has his hand up, and Councilor Rivera has joined us on Zoom.
Thank you. The lawyer just kind of pointed out what I was going to say with regards to some of the issues that I see in conflict. It kind of sounds like whenever the permit was assigned, as he mentioned, it was only attached to whomever it was that owned the business at the time. So now since the transfer sale, it kind of like triggers this situation, even though we know, well, I don't know because I've only been here 2 years, but it sounds like historically that has not been the issue, or city council has not been handling it that way, which sounds like it's contradicting the process of what city solicitor kind of outlined. So it kind of makes sense to kind of hash this out, because if not, then we'll be in a situation like Councilor McGivern is referring to, where it's like it's not as clear as it should be, or it has been, or as we assumed it was in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McGivern.
Can I ask a question through the chair to the law department?
Absolutely.
Attorney Bissonnette?
Yes, sir.
Mike, if an ordinance was amended and not codified, and the good attorney here could not see it, can you look to see if there's an amendment to this ordinance in recent years, but not that recent, and let us know?
Certainly. I can't think of a reason why, if it was amended a few years back, it wouldn't be codified yet, though.
I agree with you,
No,
but it's happened in the
but-
past, and it's, I mean, I have a vivid memory, that we amended it to allow the use outright, because, like I said, every gas station in America wants to sell milk and whatever.
Right. Be happy to run that, see if we can find the original paperwork for the order, and then we can go from
I
there.
hate to put you under the gun, but, I've got 2 days left. Can you do it by tomorrow night?
Well, if you don't have time, you have to have money, so I don't know. We'll have to see. I think we'll have to rely on our very able and trusty city clerk to look in the vault and see what we've got for original records. Councilor McGivern, I know that there is a very lengthy Rolodex of memories that you have, but can you pin down the time frame a little bit for me?
Not a chance in the world. That's the part of the memory that never worked.
I feel you, brother.
So Councilor Bacon and then Councilor Bartley.
Okay, so I hear the confusion. However, we have the current law and the current opinion in front of us, and we have the history of what happened in the past. And it seems to me the most prudent thing, barring any objections to the special permit, would be to grant it to the landowner to clear up the old confusion that it was going with the business. Because the one we just did is staying with the landowner, right?
Right.
That would be my opinion on it, from what I've heard so far.
Okay. Counselor Bartley?
So I don't think there's any contradiction here. I think it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes when we do these things, it gets a little bit mind-numbing. So I think it's pretty straightforward. Right in the table of principal uses, this hasn't been changed since I've been on this board. So, and it's motor vehicle station, BH, city council. I mean, it's clear as day. City council is a permit granting authority. It's irrefutable. The only question becomes like I pointed out earlier in 721, it says may. So, but that's in the ordinance, and that's been set in ordinances long time ago. So if I was going to do this, I would say let's march forward with the special permit to the property owner. I don't think there's any confusion as to whether or not we have to do this again. We will. Of course we'll have to do it. If somebody sells a property, we'll have to do it again. But it's not going to happen on some sort of a blanket policy moving forward. I mean, and how often do these come before us? Well, once in 2 years, for the last 2 years. So it's not like it's a turnstile process. So I don't think this is going to be an overwhelming, confusing thing. I think we're making much ado about nothing. I think if I was humbly suggest is that we hear from the public and then march this forward. But but before we do that, if I may, Madam Chair, just through the, because I think I know where this is going. What is it that we're attempting to do? I'm just at Mr. Cairo. So I know we're doing 7 days a week. Are we? And do we have business hours that we have to
Just
consider?
make sure your microphone's on. Yeah.
Yes, sir, 7 days a week.
Okay, and our business hours will be what?
6 to 11 p.m.
6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Correct.
7 days a week?
Correct.
Okay, and in that facility, there's a beer wine license?
Yes, sir.
And there's no, like, booze or anything like that, right? It's just beer wine, right?
No, we have hard liquor also.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, so it's an all-alcohol license?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay. And then in terms of if you see in the permit, as Brad pointed out, and as Attorney Montelewski pointed out, there's so many things with that lot that are not in accord, but they're pre-existing non-conforming. So boo-hoo, we march forward with it. Nevertheless, you're proximate to a lot of residential area in that. It's a very prominent lot because it's the first one that anybody sees when they take a ride onto High Street.
Correct.
So we've got to be extra cautious when it comes to the noise, when it comes to the lighting, and when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I just want to make sure that, knowing you like I have before, I don't have any fears, but why don't you just speak to that?
Mr. Bartley, the way I operate family business, so guarantee you're not gonna have any issue with whatever you mentioned, because I'm the opposite, So you're not gonna see people hang around. You're gonna see family business, lady with her daughter, or family coming, they get their stuff and they leave, I don't want the riffraff, I'm sorry, I don't operate like that, never.
And then
I've been doing this for 34 years,
And I know Brad is not your attorney, but he would tell you that this permit's not in perpetuity, right? It's for 1 year, so it'll come back up before us again. So now normally we just grant them pro forma, assuming you're paying your taxes and you're behaving, which I'm confident you will. But I like to say that for the record, so you're aware.
To be honest with you, they said you need special permit. Then after they said you don't need special permit, the check was the city, and I started dumping all the money. We're talking 1,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, and all the time they said no, we need special permit. So I'm hope really you're gonna help me with this situation. I already only for the upgrade I spent like 350,000. I'm not talking about the land. So we're talking serious money,
Yeah, so, and I always say this, thank you to anybody who comes sits in the chair where you are. We really appreciate the investment, and especially in that lot. Like I said, it's so prominent. I mean, really, it's gonna be a difference-making situation having you there, running the business that you run. I think it's gonna be a real win for the city, and hopefully be a win for you going forward. But so what I'm gonna do is, when I know that the chair wrote down your preference in terms of days of the week and hours, we'll put that in as conditions to the permit at some point after we hear from the public, and then take it from there. But and one last thing, this is subject to site plan review.
I think they said
No, because there's no changes being made to anything.
So, okay, so
I looked at the
Planning
site plan
said
and
no.
I
Yeah,
didn't see
planning
where it
said no.
qualified, no additional structures, no additional anything.
Okay, so it's a continuation, and the planning board is not involved.
No.
The only thing
Okay.
that was mentioned in the communication that we received was from the interim city engineer, who said the engineering department would only have one comment in that a stormwater permit may be required if any site work is proposed at this time or in the future. So that's just for going forward.
Of course, definitely we need to.
And Councilor Rivera, I saw was your hand up from before, or did you have another question?
Nah, I'm all set. It's from before.
Okay, thank you. And as Councilor Bartley mentioned, the things that we look for, just so you're aware, in the criteria, social, economic, or community needs that are served by your project, the traffic flow and safety, including any parking or loading and unloading, adequacy of utilities and the other public services, neighborhood character and social structures, impacts on the natural environment, and the potential fiscal impact, which are how many people are going to be working there?
For now, 3 people.
Great, awesome. And yeah, I will echo what Councilor Bartley said. I drive by there a lot, and it's already looking a lot better. So,
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Is there anyone from the public here this evening related specifically to this? Okay. And I'm not seeing anyone on Zoom.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we grant the special permit consistent with what we just talked about with hours and
Hours of operation, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.,
7 days.
7 days a week. Anything else?
I think that was
I
it.
think that was it. Councilor McGivern.
An amendment to the motion that we grant the special permit with conditions and issue it only if it's necessary. It's not necessary. But we want to keep you open. You're an important part of Holyoke because the gas war prices start on your station. I think you know that. Northampton Street's been giving you a little run.
I do appreciate that, because they never see 299, 295.
I love your
get to this town,
prices.
everybody start fighting me, very aggressive. But guess what? I'm gonna keep knock it down.
You get it going for all of South Street, but Northampton Street started paying attention. At least one station on Northampton Street gets it.
Oh my gosh.
I fight big company Arco with 2 stations. They have we're talking billions and billions. And guess what? I improve my business and I continue to growing. And we're talking company one station they can buy 20 people like me. I know the poor point for my enemy and I know how to deal with it.
Love it.
Good job, Mr. Madonna.
Thank you, sir.
Here, can I have a vote on?
So, did I have a second for Councilor Bartley's motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I second it.
Great.
Councilor McGivern's amendment?
And Councilor McGivern's amendment.
Well, I'm just getting, I'll second for purpose of discussion, Councilman gives amendment, but I would, just under discussion.
Yes, under discussion.
I would, here's, if I would, just to my friend Joe, I would only say, why don't we not do that now? But if we need to do that full city council, I got no problem with it. This will give Mr. Bissonette, a little, 24 hours, I guess, but to sort of think it out a little bit. I would rather us not muddy the waters here. I'd rather just move this forward to city council tomorrow and give Mike a minute or two to circle back, if you would consider that.
Councilor
I
McGinn.
have no problem with that. It's not just because I want to say I told you so. It's because I'm very confident in what I said this evening. But what I really want to protect is the cost of the special permit and the cost of the public hearing. Should not have been charged that, because you don't need a special permit, because there is no special permit. And I don't understand the non-conforming use, but I'll talk to Attorney Jane too, and to get a better understanding of that. It's not before us tonight, but I think it's a little confusing. Non-conforming's been used a lot too much lately, and it's a continued use. It's been a continued use. Nothing has changed except ownership.
Thank you, sir.
I miss John, but I think you're gonna do a great job. You're a lot better looking than John.
I'm gonna do my best.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. All right, moving forward.
So on the main motion.
On the main motion, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. So this will be referred to the full council tomorrow to vote on, and we will see if the law department is able to find anything in the next, 23 hours. But we appreciate you guys coming in and your investment. Thank you for taking the time.
And you don't need us tomorrow night, because that's no
Right.
public hearing.
There's no public hearing, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay,
Motion to take up item 4.
is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
So this item number 4, was hoping to have a discussion tonight. Counselor MALDONADO-VELEZ had a conflict, and there weren't a lot of city employees that were able to attend. But I'll read, this is for the license board, the Board of Health, Fire Department, Police Department, DPW, any other relevant city agencies. Is anyone here for this order? All right, I don't want to waste your time because you came here, but also I want to recognize that Councilor MALDONADO-VELEZ is not here, and the license board said they couldn't make it, and Sean from the Board of Health is leaving, and he's not coming to meetings for right now. So if you'd like to come in, do you want to come in?
Give any input?
Do you have any input that you would like to give related to this? Because I'd love. Thank you.
Give you a little bit of input on the DPW.
Sure, you're here. I don't want to waste your time. Sure. Have a seat and just make sure the green button is on.
Mike, introduce yourself, because this is your moment to shine.
Yes.
All right, I'm Michael Gallagher, Highway Foreman for the Holyoke DPW.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for being here.
What I seen as far as our department, there's a lot of hands-on we do for various events, but as far as the permitting process for these events, the parade, Celebrate Holyoke, any of these block parties, we're only involved on the permitting process if the road's being closed or blocked, a road or sidewalk. And one of the things that struck me is that the Department of Public Works is involved with those permits because it's in the city ordinances under traffic and vehicles. Mm-hmm. And I suspect that the reason this has not happened before is this is not the first time I've seen this issue come up of people in the business community or in the administration of the city of Holyoke wanting to streamline our permitting process. And I'm guessing that every little detail, like if you need some kind of certificate from the Board of Health for your food truck for an event or any kind of other special permit, every little detail that you need is assigned to a different department under ordinance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where your biggest problem is. And the only thing I could think could be done is if somebody were to create a master list to be able to give to people. Mm-hmm. Say if you need this permit for this kind of operation that you want to run on this day, you need to go to the fire department for this, the DPW for the permit, as you're gonna be occupying the sidewalk. That's probably your best hope, unless you want to start digging into the city charter and changing a bunch of ordinances and having one department in charge of all permits.
No, I appreciate your feedback. I am not going to speak for Councilor Maldonado-Velez, but from his ordinance, or I'm sorry, from his order that he filed, he wanted to get some more information like you're providing on when does DPW get involved, at what point, and what triggers that. But for me, something I've seen recently is if the roads do get closed, whose responsibility is it to notify the businesses or the neighbors or whatever that road will be closed for that period of time?
Oh, well, I would imagine it would depend on the purpose of the road being closed.
Okay.
Our permit process leaves all the responsibility on the person who applies for and takes out the permit.
Okay. All right. That's helpful, because there's been a couple of events that I've been contacted about, all different types of events where, this high street is blocked off and folks can't get to a certain business, and who is supposed to let them know is always the question. And so that helps me, at least. But maybe, I think for the purposes of this, like, I obviously won't speak for Councilor Maldonado-Velez, but I think that was my big question, was who should be notifying people ahead of time. Do others have any comments or questions for Mike? Councilor Bartley?
Sure. Yeah, Mike, the only thing I think, Mike, you hit the nail on the head. To me, the main point to get this triggered is to get a list of what are the events that need multiple department heads involved. And then there's going to be times when there's going to be smaller operations. So I get the gist of the order. I appreciate it. I just don't know, really, if we take this up again, how in depth we would really get, Madam Chair. So I would rather honestly say this is complied with. I'd rather do it that way, and I'd rather send it back to the mayor's office, and the mayor send us a communication to try to address these concerns, because really the mayor's office that kind of is the ringleader for everything when it comes to most city business. So I don't know Mike came down here. I don't know what purpose it was served to have a big huge meeting in here when it's really, to me, coordinated out of the mayor's office. I'll make whatever motion you want me to make, but I think we should send it back to council, and with a recommendation that we get a communication from the mayor as to how do we best address the pertinent aspects that are brought up in the order.
Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. Thanks for coming down, and I do appreciate the suggestion about the master checkoff list, because I don't know too much about what led to this other than what I heard like fourthhand. But it seemed like because something led to a street closure, then it led to a safety issue, and then it led to the police department, and it all happened sequentially instead of coordinated. And that seems to be what the major issue was regarding the road being closed.
Yeah.
So it seems that if there was that master checkoff list that has like, a running thread, road closure then leads to the 3 other departments, no road closure, you stop at 2.
Yeah.
That would be
and
an easy diagram.
even
So
for me-
I think that's a great suggestion. And
Yeah.
if we could consider it complied with and send that over to the mayor, maybe that would be a simple solution.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Others? Anyone else? Councilor McGivern?
Excuse me, I concur with both speakers. I think maybe just that it's been complied with a recommendation that a checkoff list be established. Mike, explained to us what is well detailed and what the DPW does. Each of these departments, I think we have a lot of respect for. And all we're asking is that, as something like in the future happens, some type of check-off list, a larger project. I know the parade committee has a meeting with all these departments on an annual basis before the second largest parade in America on St. Patrick's Day. And I know the Celebrate Holyoke has a meeting with most of these departments before that event would take place a lot in the, right here on Dwight Street and Heritage Street and so forth. So I think it's there. I think, if we just recommend, because it's mayoral responsibility. When push comes to shove, I commend Councilor MALDONADO-VELEZ for suggesting this, but I think the real work has to be done with our recommendation would be helpful, but the work has to be done out of the mayor's office.
All right.
All set?
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Okay. Yeah. So I'll entertain a motion that this is complied with the recommendation that a checkoff list or something of the sort be established and have, the mayor, we're making that recommendation to the mayor.
And the communication is sent back to us, so we can just release that.
Okay.
So I think that's what he
Yeah.
wants the council involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the motion.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you for coming down tonight.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Motion to take item 5.
So moved.
Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Item 5, that the Honorable City Council, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote that the City of Holyoke accept the proposal submitted by Jeffrey Diaz and Tiago Martins and sell 736 Dwight Street and Dwight Street parcel 006090001 for $17,500. These surplus properties are contiguous parcels of vacant land on Dwight Street at the corner of Walnut Street, totaling approximately 10,000 square feet in size. The properties are zoned BL, limited business, and have a combined assessed value of $46,800. And I believe we are joined by the applicants or the respondents, and we're also joined by Jamie Morrow from the procurement office. Come on in, have a seat. Anyone else? And we're joined by Aaron Vega as well. So, welcome.
I get just a point of information.
Sure.
So, both these, there's 2 properties, but one at a time, obviously.
Yes.
This property's been declared surplus.
That's my understanding, correct?
Okay. And the mayor has submitted and accepted an offer for this property, and that's before us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jamie, do you want to
So
confirm that?
the mayor has accepted.
I do, and I just want to say, Counselor, good evening, counselors, that these were bundled together as a package, so there was no option to purchase one. They had to be purchased together as a package.
For 736 Dwight Street.
And the second one is Dwight Street parcel, and the parcel 006090001, it didn't have a number associated with it, so this package was for 736 Dwight and Dwight Street parcel.
And you can confirm that the mayor accepted this proposal?
He did, yes.
Good. Okay. Sure. Jamie, are you able to tell us when we declared this surplus?
It's not in the 2015. So if you look at the package that Jeffrey sent ahead, there's a summary page here.
Yeah.
And line maybe about halfway down, 2015, city declares property surplus and available for disposition.
Which one is?
We're on Dwight Street because there's 2. We have Newton and Dwight tonight.
Number 6.
I have.
Under the background summary, it might be, I'm not sure the page in your packet, I might be not looking at the one that was forwarded to you, but it should definitely be in there.
We don't have a package, Jamie.
I don't see it.
Jeffrey, can you confirm that they got forwarded the packets that I sent you last month, the 11th? I can re-forward right now from my cell
I
phone.
have the.
Because I actually printed my documents right from that email, so I know they would be in there.
No, hold on.
Let me see.
What was sent to us, and I believe what's in the folder, is these two letters. One from you. Yeah, just letters from you, but not.
I have it here. Let me see. I can get it to you guys right now. I'm sorry, give me a second. Yeah, right here on December 11th. I can include attachments. Should I resend it to Jeffrey again? What would be the easiest way to get it to you? I just
Jeffrey.
Okay, I just reported it to. And I included the attachments, but this was sent from my office to Jeffrey on December 11th. So I apologize.
That's on me. I do see the email. I sent to them the items that came with the order, and that's on me. I didn't include the attachments that you sent afterwards.
Okay.
So I'm going to print those off right now.
Okay. Well,
Typically both, Jeffrey, for Newton and for Dwight, because they're both going to be discussed tonight. So there's packets with their proposals, with a little bit of a background summary on, everything. So if you can just give it a minute so he can get those into your hands, I think it's going to answer most of the questions that you are asking of me, and I apologize.
okay. No problem. You're here, so I definitely want to allow you the opportunity to introduce yourselves and explain the project. And while that's happening, we'll wait for the materials that we don't have. So, welcome.
Thank you for having us here tonight. So, my name's Tiago Martins. This is my partner, Jeff Dias. We're coming before you tonight with the plan of redeveloping some parcels of land on the corner of Walnut and Dwight that are currently vacant. We have experience in the past of redeveloping properties and recently started doing work here in Holyoke. Our most recent project is the black and white building on Dwight Street that we purchased through the city that was condemned and shut down for over a decade. We had renovated that completely, and it's currently completely rented. Our proposed plan, because we currently do own the lot next to that building, and the parcel of land that we're here to discuss is the one across the street,
Okay.
is to develop townhomes along both sides on Walnut, facing each other. We have our preliminary plans in 3D renditions of what our vision is for that corner. And that's what we're coming here for today. The packet that we've submitted to the city has our general budget as to what we'd expect to spend on this project, where our financial backing's coming from, and provides more detail.
Okay.
I thought you had those, so I apologize.
That's okay.
They will have that momentarily.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
Thanks. I just have a general question just because I don't know. So in the original project that you did, if you could just give us an idea, because usually the properties don't sell for a lot of money, but then the people that buy them put a lot into the property.
Yes.
And then get it going back in the city. So I was just wondering if you could share with us a little of the background of the first property that you now have all rented out and what you put into
totally.
that, and just the general amount of what you're looking to put into this.
So we bought the original property, which has that building that you see there, with the lot that's attached to it for $25,000 from the city. We put over about $725,000 into it. That includes all sprinklers, new kitchens, new bathrooms, security system, laundry facilities, everything. And that's currently rented. We do focus, over 80% is low income families, whether they're subsidized or non-subsidized. 4 of those tenants actually were families that we relocated out of shelters that were in them from evictions and are restarting their life. And that's what's currently there now and working wonderfully. Our plan would be similar. Now, obviously, we're here to discuss one piece of land. We currently already own the other half. But between both of them combined, we're averaging probably $1.2 to $1.3 million to develop everything.
Wow.
It'll
Thank
come
you.
out to about an average of $100,000 per unit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You good?
Yeah, I just wanted to get
Yeah.
a general feel
Yeah.
for it.
Councilor Bartley?
Gentlemen, yeah, thanks for coming back. Okay, so it's just go back to Councilor Bacon's question. The property that you renovated it's a Dwight and Elm? Is that where you are?
No, the property
Or
we
Dwight and Walnut?
Yeah, technically there's a lot there, but it's Dwight and Walnut.
Yeah, I know exactly. Okay, so yeah, that's come out. So that's come out really well. And you said it's a full house now.
Yeah, it's been a full house for a little over a year
And
now.
how many units?
8. We did 6 3-bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms.
Okay, and we're thinking maybe the same thing.
So right now, what we have planned for the lot that abuts that building would be 6 townhouses. Okay, and
The lot that abuts that building.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
which
Oh,
we-
further down Walnut.
No, the one that's right up against that building. There's a piece of land there. And then across the street from there, across on Walnut, that's the land that we're projecting to buy from you guys, is to add another 6. I got the count right? No, sorry, 6 and 5. 6 and 5, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
We went down, we surveyed the land, we made sure that based off of kind of what
Yep.
surveyors would want for frontage, space, making sure that we provide some space for parking. And that's as much as we could fit there.
okay. So all that is pretty much proximate to the new juvenile court. Is that kind of that's the one?
Yeah.
That's the big building.
Yeah, that's like.
It's
in
a
the
new
back.
building.
Yeah. That's like towards the back of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to orient myself a little bit.
We're talking about like 3 blocks down that way, or 2 blocks down that way.
Right. Yeah. I just don't walk over there all the time, but
That's fair.
I've walked there many times.
Yeah.
But believe me, I used to work at 195 High, so
Oh, really?
I walked to the post office virtually every day. So, okay. So, okay. And then in terms of the transaction itself, so. Okay, so this doesn't sound unreasonable to me. So you're purchasing. You have a tentative contract with the city for 17.5 for these 2 parcels, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and in your packet, which I'm assuming there's proof of funds.
Yeah.
In there. Oh, okay. I mean, I assume we would put that in there, right?
We have
The
to
packet that
provide
we have coming. So
Yeah.
all right. So that's really all. That's really all I would need to know, frankly. So, Madam Chair, they have a track record. B, they have proof of funds. They want to do some more development. And they want to create housing. So to me, this is like
We know
Yeah.
that there's a shortage, right, all
There
across
is
Western
quite a
Mass.
shortage of
So,
housing.
even with our last project, there was initially storefronts on the first floor, but because there's such a shortage of housing and not so much of commercial space, that's why we made more 2 bedrooms actually. So
Councilor McGivern?
here you go, Joe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gentlemen, welcome, and welcome the proposal. I'm sure you understand that Dwight Street is a designated, and rightfully so, gateway into our community, starting off of the highway, on the upper portion, Interstate 91, coming right down through City Hall and down to our train station. But that's not the only reason it's a gateway. It's a very important street. I know Mr. Vega's here, and I'm sure he's going to talk to us about the redevelopment authority's plan for a lot of this area. I've walked the street with them. If you notice about a block at corner of Pine and Dwight, there's a vacant lot. I think it's being used as a garden now at the moment, community garden. That's the site of a very famous historic building, which is no longer with us. And we don't want to lose historic buildings such as that, because it was the home of our cheers, called the Rainbow. but it was a neighborhood. Across the street was a drugstore. Back in the days when each of these buildings and lots, even the one that you own, was frequent by post office workers for the commercial business that was on the bottom floor. Across the street is what would now call the Barry Farrell Funeral Home. Up on Northampton Street was the John B. Shays Funeral Home. And anyways, the gateway is important, and I'm sure you've worked with the city on that, but residential housing is part of our message, part of our master plan. I'm pretty sure it's part of most of the redevelopment authority's vision, but I do want to hear from Mr. Vega. But I just wanted to say welcome with your proposal and your thoughts, and sorry that we're only getting this whole thing in writing at the moment, but we knew you were coming, so welcome.
Thank you. And if I may approach, I do have our drawings that might look better on printed paper.
Thank you.
And we can bring those up to you guys.
Did you get this? No.
Yeah.
So that's his finished story.
Counselor McGivern's teaching me all the things. Oh, okay, these are all different.
Yes.
Right here, I'm gonna
So
let you
one would
guys
face,
take
one
a
would be
look.
the one that would be on, I guess, the south part of Walnut, and then the other one on the north.
Okay.
And then there's the floor plan, how they would look facing each other, and what the interior design would look like.
Great. And I was looking at, briefly going through the proposal. Construction would start in 12 to 18 months.
My partner's ready to start tomorrow.
Oh. Especially if it doesn't snow, right?
Yeah.
Freeze.
Okay. Is anyone from the city, Jamie, Aaron, anyone, is there anything you guys would like to add? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approving the conveyance, or approving the sale for full-time council.
Second.
Aaron, was someone gonna, under discussion, yeah?
Thank you, councilors, and just since Joe noticed and called me, yeah, we're very in favor of this. We've worked with Diego and his team. Congratulations on 712, Dwight. It looks great. We're very excited. I'm a neighbor, so it's great to see the development there. They've been through the Holyoke process, so they know the people, they know who to work with, and we're excited for that area. It's definitely a residential corridor. As we come down, we'll sort of get into the business corridor, obviously, as we get closer to Dwight Street, but happy to be moving this project forward with these guys. And, it's not easy developing housing right now. It's costly, but these guys have been through it, and we're looking forward to working with them.
Wonderful. Yes, Councilor McGivern.
Quick question.
Sure.
For my information, I know it'll be asked tomorrow night. Once this property is built out, it will be on the tax rolls for the city? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. It's always
we have to ask those mean questions.
It's important to ask.
It's an important question.
And you plan to have these remain as rental units?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
That was just more of my own clarification. Okay, anyone else? On the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Great. So thank you, first of all, very much for your investment in the city. Looking forward to seeing everything. Tomorrow night is our full council meeting, so the full council will vote on that. And that's it, and then we'll go from there.
Do we have to be present tomorrow?
Not necessary. You can watch. It's always an entertaining event.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for your investment. All right, moving forward, a motion to
take up item
6. All those in favor, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So item number 6 is that the City Council, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, vote that the City of Holyoke accept the proposal submitted by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Holyoke and sell 118 Newton Street parcel 110309 and 94 Newton Street for $15,000. These surplus properties are contiguous parcels of vacant land on Newton Street approximately 19,230 square feet in size. They are zoned downtown residential and downtown business. 118 Newton Street is downtown residential. The others are downtown business, and they have a combined assessed value of $83,100. And I did get one copy of your packet, Jamie, and Jeffrey, I believe, is making others. But it looks like these were declared surplus in...
I can jump on. These were recently declared surplus in 2023.
Thank you.
2023, city declares property surplus and available for disposition.
Perfect. And I believe this evening we're joined by Eileen Kavanaugh with the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club and Kelly McGivern. I don't know if anyone's heard of her before. With the board of the Boys and Girls Club. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you hope to do here with this purchase?
Sure, yeah. So we do appreciate the time to present in front of you tonight, and so thank you for your consideration. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Holyoke is proposing that we purchase the Newton Street properties and build what we're referring to as a teen center, which would be about a 4,700 square foot building to be used, for our out of school, after school time activities. Looking to use the park as a connector between the Newton Street property and our main club facility. So the thought was that there would be a type of campus feel, so to say, where we'd have multiple buildings and be able to serve more youth more frequently, quite honestly. Our target population right now with this proposal is teens, which is really around the age of 13 to 18. Right now, currently in the city of Holyoke, there's very few extracurricular activities for that age group in particular. Although we do have a very successful teen membership program, we're forced to operate it in the evenings, not until 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, because we're also operating a licensed childcare program and cannot combine the age groups. We just don't have enough space within our building. And so we're really looking to be able to serve that age group, the teenage population, right after school, and then be able to carry over through evening activities as well.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm gonna let others ask questions before I ask questions.
Sure.
I'll pause there. Jamie, is there anything you want to add as this from the city's perspective, or?
The proposal was very well received. The whole committee was in, unison that everyone would love to see something like this come to Holyoke, and everybody was just happy to be a part of it.
Great. Counselor Bartley.
Just asking for proof of funds. That's all I care about, really.
Proof of funds?
Jamie, there's proof of funds?
Yes, they did submit proof of funds.
Perfect, thank you.
Counselor McGivern.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, member board of directors Kelly McGivern is my daughter. Although a perception of conflict, I've checked with the Ethics Commission and I am fine. I have filed before with the city clerk on other not-for-profits that my daughters are on governing boards, and I'm very proud of them because they work for a lot of boards that are very important to the city of Holyoke, including Kelly with the with the Boys and Girls Club, with the Parade Committee, as Tessa knows, and Brenda with Providence Ministries. And the Ethics Commission instructs me, which I've done so with the merry-go-round, to make sure when you work with not-for-profits that you file with the city clerk the appropriate form, which I can't think of the name of it. Disclosure form. Thank you, Councilor Bacon. Aware of the proposal because we voted the property surplus. I'm familiar with the proposal because in my other job, I don't call it my real job anymore, but it's going to be my only job in a few weeks. The Newton Street is still pretty much of a war zone, and with a lot of activity going on, and this would be a welcome addition to two lots that have been vacant. I think, Jamie, they've been vacant for two decades now, at least.
They have been vacant for quite a long time, and they are some lots. If Sean was here tonight, they would talk about it was a flex squad, area of improvement over there. The city is constantly trying to keep up those lots and keep them clean. So in addition to this wonderful program moving forward, it would get these 3 lots cleaned up in, the nicest way we could ever imagine possible.
Okay. And I think this is, the purpose, and I think we all know that we need teen centers throughout the city that are not just convenient, but attractive for that age group. It's a difficult age group wherever you are, to try to get them into positive activities after school, during summer months and so forth. And I commend the Boys and Girls Club for coming forth with this proposal. I think the offer is fair. The mayor has accepted it. It makes sense. I realize on this particular property will be a not-for-profit that's running the center, but this Boys and Girls Club has worked with the underprivileged children of Holyoke since they opened. And I think that's important to note what their purpose is and their mission. And this continues with their mission to be able to provide that positive teen center, whether it be recreation, after school activities, passive, daycare, and the list goes on. And I just commend them. Is the only, in our package, Jamie, or the law department, the only monetary attachment to this is what is being offered by the Boys and Girls Club? Is that correct? No other financial commitments to the city?
As far as, were you talking about their proof of funding, or I'm sorry, Counselor,
No, we're being asked to accept, the mayor's asking us to accept an offer for the land of $15,000.
$15,000.
Okay, there's nothing else required of the Boys and Girls Club monetary wise?
Nope, it would be the 3 lots for the agreed upon price of the $15,000 for this proposal.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion, we recommend approval.
Is there a second? Second. Under discussion, I did see, Aaron, did you have your hand up? Did you want to say something?
Well, I did, but just real quick, obviously just echoing the support for the Boys and Girls Club and just assuring the city council that we're working with them and other neighbors and other partners to address and restabilize Newton Street. It's definitely one of our focuses. So it's great to have them as a partner now, and they won't be alone in trying to better that neighborhood for those that live there and the future generations that come there. So we're looking forward to working with them.
Thank you. And I just want to recognize that the mayor is in attendance tonight. Thank you for joining. Is there anything that you wanted to add? I don't know if that's why you're here tonight. Maybe you just love DGR.
I always love coming to city council meetings. Are you kidding me?
I know, same.
I was hey, there was a great deal of due diligence. I remember when I first came into this role, I met with the folks over at the Boys and Girls Club, and they've expressed deep interest in that area. And I told them, we'll get a process together, but put together a plan. And if the plan is in the direction of what the city wants to see take place, we'll be more than happy to support it. And they did exactly that. And so I'm happy to stand behind this proposal and looking forward to see what the Boys and Girls Club is going to bring to our city on that lot.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, on the motion, any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Eileen, Kelly, for being here. We appreciate what you're doing, and we're excited to see what happens, and it's much needed. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jamie, and for everyone for your help on those. And so we're going to vote on that tomorrow, just to let you know. We're voting on that tomorrow. Okay. All right. Motion to take I would entertain a motion to take items 7 and 8 as a package.
So moved.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
Withdraw my second.
Okay. Item 7.
Second for item 7.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. In order to declare parcel Holyoke Assessor's Map 212, Block 00, Parcel 1, East Hampton Road, Holyoke, Mass. As surplus property and sell to the Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game with an address of 100 Cambridge Street, Suite 620, Boston, Mass. for $270,000. The reason why I wanted to take this with item 8 is because we did have, you have to declare surplus, and we did talk about at our last meeting. So we'll get an update. You were joined here by Yoni. Thank you, Yoni, for your patience. And Yoni's joined by some representatives from Mass Fish and Wildlife. So yeah. Do you want to give us an update, or where you want to talk about this? Yep. Okay. Can we have you both introduce yourselves for the record, please?
Oh, thanks. Good evening. My name is Kevin Chafee. I'm the land agent for the Connecticut Valley District of Mass Wildlife. That's a division of the Mass Department of Fish and Game. It's my job to identify willing landowners to acquire lands for conservation for the state of Massachusetts.
Perfect. Thank you.
And good evening. I'm Joe Rogers, the district manager for the Division of Fish and Wildlife here in the Connecticut Valley District. So I oversee about 1/5 of the state's property throughout the Connecticut Valley region, managing those properties and wildlife throughout the state.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Yoni.
Hi again. So I guess real quick recap. This item, or the discussion over this parcel, was back before DGR, most recently on August 23rd of this year. We were talking about the potential of a land sale and the development constraints on the property. We talked about how there are significant wetland resource areas on the property in question on East Hampton Road, natural heritage and endangered species, steep topography on the western part of the property. It was requested by the committee that the city put the property out for RFP to see what commercial interests, if any, could be found. This was done it was open from October 18th to November 21st of this year. Jamie's here and can talk a little more about that process, but basically the only bidders that we received were from Fish and Game themselves. So we're back before you. Oh, and our mayor's here. That's cool.
I know.
And really, I'm here in my role as the Director of Conservation and Sustainability to voice support from my department and from the Holyoke Conservation Commission for this sale. We know there's a lot of needs in Holyoke. We need to expand our tax base and create more housing. We also need to do our part to protect open space for climate resiliency and recreation. And I think it's fortunate in the case of this parcel that the development constraints appear to be quite significant. We have a letter from Aaron Vega's office. We put it out to RFP. We were looking for uses that might combine conservation with other commercial or residential housing. And yeah, I'm here to show support for this sale. We'll get some money for it. We'll get some ongoing revenue. And I think most importantly, perhaps, this will be forever a resource for Holyoke residents. And since Mass Fish and Game owns some adjacent properties, and since there's a Mount Tom reservation across the street, it's also an opportunity to more meaningfully connect the trail network and recreational opportunities and improve quality of life for our residents.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. Could you just go over the RFP process and what uses, how that worked? The outreach from October to, when was it?
November.
21st.
Yeah. Is that maybe a better question for Jamie?
I'm sorry?
It might be a better question for...
Yeah, sure, Jamie.
It's for Jamie.
She's the MC.
Sure.
So this went out, like all of our other RFPs with the same, type of advertisements. We did hold a walkthrough too. So anybody that was, interested in the property, because of the, restrictions with the property, we wanted to be transparent in the sense that, there was a walkthrough held, and, Fish and Game, Joe, came and did the walkthrough. So, and the city solicitor was there. This went out to RFP like any of our other RFPs. We actually, the only person that even requested documents was the Fish and Game. So, it was full transparent, with the, that there was potentially 1 acre of buildable, that there was no access to water, sewer though, so it would require a Title V and, probably a well. It went out, and I apologize if, that packet I did not get over to you. Sorry, Yoni, that I did not forward them the RFP. I can get it to you guys. Oh, okay, perfect. So, if you have a copy of the RFP that went out, it's got all the information in it, like any of our other RFPs. We did try to market it to see if there was any interest and do some due diligence, so.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good, okay. Other questions or comments from the committee or anyone else on?
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Just a comment.
Sure.
I guess I'm thinking of the property on Mountain Road with the shooting range where we were able to carve out two 2-acre lots and then sell that land buildable. We were able to do that in that situation, which isn't exactly like this one. I acknowledge that. But it's just that we're always hearing that we have no land to build on and we have few opportunities for people. It seems like if we have all this acreage and there is 1 acre of buildable land, couldn't we, and I mean, maybe it's too far down the road, but couldn't we carve that out without hurting the natural heritage part and the open land part? I mean, is that possible, or am I shooting?
No, it's a really good question. We talked about that at length, actually. I talked about that with John Dijak in Aaron's office, who asked that very question. I think what's tricky about this property is all the frontage is wetlands.
Oh.
So getting to the rear of the property, there's a soils map on the appraisal that shows the Charlton sandy loam. It's pretty deep in the property. So like carving it would be, I mean, you would still need to meet the frontage requirements for zoning. And I think to be a little more clear about what the appraisal said about the 1 acre, they're surmising, since the whole property is under natural heritage and endangered species, they were surmising that 1 acre might be the largest extent of development that might take place, but there wasn't like a particular part of the property that was pointed out for that. So we might carve out 1 acre, but it turns out that's where all 5 of the listed species are, and then we would have guessed wrong.
In any event, it's not where it would be easily accessible and identifiable, like
Right.
the other lots I'm thinking of on my.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and that was a
Yeah.
smart move, true.
All right.
you know.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think those are good opportunities. There's a great example recently in East Hampton where Kestrel Land Trust actually partnered with a developer. They conserved some really important riverfront property, and really the sensitive areas were protected and will have trails, but a number of units of housing were able to be built in the farm fields that were part of it. And it was an interesting way of combining shared uses and making sure that also people living in like that housing area had immediate access to recreational opportunities. So I love that idea, but
Yeah.
this
Well,
site,
if it works.
yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the feedback.
Great. Others? Councilor McGivern?
Thank you, Chair. And gentlemen, welcome. And Yoni always is welcome, and with the mayor, of course. You know, I talked about, at the last meeting, about places like what the Cracker Barrel has done off of Whiting Farms Road, and did a little research and looked up a guy named John Lloyd Wright, who has built a lot of things, a lot of beautiful homes in natural, or in or around natural resources and parks and things. And I just see this as one of our gateways and an opportunity to do both. I think that's part of what Councilor Bacon said, and if possible, that would be great. But I also just don't want to lose something that's has potential, even though it may be unlikely. And Joe, if you don't mind me calling you by your first name, I'm a good Joe too. Do you manage any of the property in Holyoke?
Yes, so we have the East Mountain Wildlife Management Area that extends south from the proposed parcel.
Okay.
So we have several parcels throughout that WMA that would fall within the.
Okay. And you're familiar with the Mount Time Reservation?
I am, yes. That's owned by DCR, Department of Conservation
Correct.
and
Yes,
Recreation.
and managed by DCR too, I believe,
Correct,
yeah.
yeah.
Which is not just a tremendous asset to Holyoke, but I think if you took acre by acre of land that we preserve, whether it's conservation, whether it's wildlife, whether it's the reservation itself, per capita, we got to be the best in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And rightfully so, because we're protecting part of a mountain range that is our history, because we're built on the side of it. A lot of people don't recognize this as the slopes of Mount Tom, but we're there. Not the ski slopes, Mayor, but we are there because it all trickled down to the river, and Holyoke is all about that. And certainly Hoyokers are in favor of protection and doing it. So relatively speaking, it's kind of a small piece of property in the scheme of things. I mean, it's a nice offer, and I can't negotiate for the mayor, so I'll stop right there. But those are where our questions are coming from, and with due respect to each of you, because I understand what you do is important, and certainly part of what we believe is important. And you can't ask for anybody in our conservation department than Yoni, who understands it and the work he's done on our old, especially on our old community field extension up by Scotch Tower is just incredible. And I hope to walk that someday, Yoni. I'm looking forward to it,
This spring.
Yeah. Then this spring we can start doing it?
I'll have the time to do it. It'll be good.
Not with Jenny's list. I'm not going to have much time to do anything.
Counselor, are you done?
I'm done,
yeah. Counselor Bartley?
Thank you. We don't, I'll just follow up. We said we don't negotiate rights as the mayor's office, but we've had experience where we've had what I felt would be defective deals that came in here, and we rejected it. And specifically, one Cabot Street comes to mind. It was 300,000 square foot building. The mayor, former mayor, two removed, negotiated for a sale price of $10,000, and this board rejected it. And they came back and with an offer of $200,000, and this panel recommended approval. So no, we don't negotiate it, but fortunately, we haven't changed our ordinances. It's this body that has to make the call. And there's two steps in this, as I'm sure you're aware. One, which is the second order on here, which I don't want to take as package. First, we have to declare a surplus and available for disposition. We have not taken a vote on that as full city council. Then we have to go ahead and approve a sale contract. Now, we have an assessment of $1.something million. I'm not saying it's worth that, but I'm saying that's what the assessment is right now. And the offer on the table is $270. So I can't overlook the fact that we have a number here in front of us. I would also say to our fine colleagues here from the federal government that you do have a sizable lot that abuts it. you surround a lot that's owned by the city of Holyoke, that's 4 acres, that's still possessed by the city of Holyoke. And, go ahead.
Are you saying that's like you can see it on a map within our land? That actually transferred to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I don't have the year off the top of my head.
I believe it then. Yeah, it seems a little strange to me, but it shows on our assessor's card that
we noted that when we first started chatting, and I looked up our land information system records, and we acquired that from the city of Holyoke years ago.
Well, that's
open space just for some reason didn't get updated.
Actually, that's very helpful information. And so if you only would just get a communication to the assessor's office, that'd take care of that real fast.
And it may even be on, because we update, like folks in Boston update our statewide open space map that then gets shared and I think gets used in all the local towns. It may be on our side as well, so we can make a note to make sure that gets updated.
Just send a copy of the deed to Yoni. He'll get it to Debbie, and we'll be all set. So that's a big help. So I do see your parcel abuts it, and with that 4 acres plus what you do own, which is another 29 acres, so that's 33 that abuts it. No,
may even be slightly more than that. I believe
there's another parcel too of 26. So you add all that.
Gets to around 70.
Yeah, 26, 29 to 4, so whatever that comes out to be. So it's 60, 70 acres, something that's right there, and this would add to it. So while I guess, and what are we doing with it now in terms of benefit to the city of Holyoke? What benefits have been derived?
The parcel we're discussing?
No, the parcels that you currently own.
Maybe Joe, you want to speak to that?
Sure. So the Division of Fish and Wildlife, all of our properties are protected under Article 97 as open space. So those are open to the public, the Commonwealth in its entirety. So any form of recreation, passive forms of recreation on the landscape. So that continues to be open. We also have, to the south of this parcel in discussion, we also have some other wildlife management properties that, again, are an extension of East Mountain WMA. And on that, we also have the hiking trail, the New England Trail, which is a well-known, large trail that goes from the Connecticut all the way up through into New Hampshire, which is available, again, for other forms of hiking and kind of passing through the area. So that would be another large attractant to our East Mountain Wildlife Management Area, in addition to, as I said, all those other forms of recreation that we allow on our properties. The other large benefit, as has been discussed as for open space, is just the resiliency for the species that we manage on those properties. So Mass Wildlife is taxed with or responsible for managing wildlife across the Commonwealth. So we protect species diversity on our on our properties, but also across the state. Our WMAs are a large tool for us to do that. Oftentimes when we buy these properties, it's because they have what we call swap communities, which are species of wildlife, or has to do with our species wildlife action plan, which is we identify species that need either restoration work or they're maybe threatened or endangered communities within our Commonwealth. And so our WMAs are used to manage for those habitat types as well. So this particular, we were talking about, kind of this parcel and how it fits into our others. The reason this is of large interest for us is that it's connectivity to some of the other properties that we have. We've been talking about kind of the Holyoke Range, and as wildlife species move up and down that range, maintaining a corridor of forested area, wetlands that are intact, allow species to move up and down that in response to changes on the landscape. So as we see things like climate change and invasives that are, become more pronounced on the landscape, by having that connectivity allows animals to move up and down those wildlife corridors. So that is why this falls within what we call a focus area for the Division of Fish and Wildlife, which is the entirety of the Holyoke Range, to try to protect those corridors and give wildlife species a chance to thrive on the landscape.
Yeah, and I've gone through, I had a chance to go through it. So it is about 70 acres all in all, but it's a little south of that, but whatever. That's a pretty good number right there. So that's somewhat helpful. So we add this, we'd have, whatever this is, 53 or some odd. So, and then have we thought about what we're going to do in terms of passive recreation for this one that you're proposing to buy?
Yep, so it would be folded into the rest of the East Mountain Wildlife Management Area. So it would be managed very much in line with the other properties in Holyoke and the surrounding towns. So open to those passive forms of recreation and wildlife-dependent forms of recreation.
And we're different than DCR in certain ways that they tend to have more formalized like infrastructure, like they build roads and pavilions and things like that. We take a more passive approach to our properties, but currently I feel like it's of note there are a system of trails and woods roads that exist on the property like historically, and we know because of our presence to the south and when we went to this property, residents are already utilizing it. There's some pull-offs right off of 141, and they also use the lower parking lot of the banquet facility. I think folks may already think this is protected open space. I mean, it's not posted, our signs aren't on it or anything like that, but we see activity. People are utilizing it for hiking.
Thank you.
Any other, oh, sorry, Councilor Bacon.
Thanks. I'm going to go a little bit on a tangent on you on this, because you talked about the New England Trail. And the scary part of that in Holyoke for me is because I'm the Ward 5 counselor, and they turn 202 into a parking lot up there. And I know there's limitations because of where the trail can be accessed, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that at all. But I would just put out there that if people have the choice to park over on Apremont rather than 202, neither is ideal, but Apremont is a lot safer than 202. And I'm concerned about the safety issues up on 202. It's a fast road, it's curvy, steep, and I know you don't have any magic answers because there aren't any, but I don't know if there are any developments that can take place within the land to get people off the road to hike. Is that something you guys can do?
So I will say that the NET trail is one of 6 trails that is allowed to be on wildlife management areas. So we, as was already said, we don't promote a large number of trails on our wildlife management areas. As I was saying earlier, they're really about protecting habitat and giving wildlife a space as well as while keeping it open. So there's a balance that's struck there. As part of that balance, as I said, 6 trails have been identified across the state. The NET is one of them. So we partner with AMC, who's actually the folks that are maintaining the trails on our property, and that's done through a licensing process. And those are renewed every 5 years. So part of that licensing process for us is that we always ensure that the abutters on both ends of that trail that is leaving our property or accessing our property are also happy with the trail network. So I would be more than happy to bring this to AMC, who manages the trail. If the town has concerns about safety on those roadways, they're going to have equal concerns. So I think that this would be a great topic to discuss with them. I'm not sure if it's been brought to them directly. I know that the kind of management of that trail has exchanged hands over the years. But I would be more than happy to bring that. And it could be a condition of our licensing on our properties that, that parking be resolved and that at least they look into the public safety.
That would be great, because it is becoming more and more well-known and more popular. And it's, it almost starts looking like a parking lot up there. But, because it's like no parking right here. But of course, then you go down.
There's not, I won't say there's a ton, but there are currently on the parcel and across the street, there are pull-offs that would get vehicles fully off Route 141. It can't, you can't have a ton of people there, but there is currently capacity, and in the right situation, we have built modest, but we will build like a small parking lot.
Yeah, and it seems like there is a little bit more access on 141 and Apremont a little bit, but again, it's kind of like 202, except nowhere near as heavily traveled.
Yeah.
But yes, no, that would be greatly appreciated, and I think, Mayor, you know where I mean, right?
Yeah, the 202 is any opportunity we can to, kind of mitigate that safety concern.
Yeah, it's
if there is
scary
an
out
opportunity to build a lot somewhere or something for people to park safely and access the space, I agree with the counselor.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Yeah?
I just want to respond to one of your concerns earlier about the difference between the assessment and the value that we offered. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, you mentioned it. Often those numbers are very different. In this case, they're particularly different. We felt when we were giving we were having our conversations, we felt that assessment, and I would defer to the assessor's office how they calculate that, but I know that tends to be, they look at zoned sales over the last 3 years. So if you were to take 53 acres and have it be in like the downtown, like commercial, I think it's general business is the zoning, that's highly valuable, but it doesn't zero in on the parcel itself and the specifics, and so we have physical constraints that we've talked about. You'd need a wetland crossing to access. There's, from a permitting standpoint, there's Wetlands Protection Act, there's Mass Endangered Species Act, all those things, plus the physical terrain of the property. Actually, when you look at it closely, that value is much lower. So the city retained the services of a real estate appraiser. And so that number is the highest and best fair market value of that property as determined by an appraiser. So we are offering full fair market value as determined by that report. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Okay, I couldn't tell if that was your hand. Councilor McGivern?
Thank you. If John Lloyd Wright was still alive, he might disagree with you, but we won't go into that argument, okay? A question I forgot to ask, but does Fish and Game Wildlife Protection, do you allow hunting and fishing on any of your property?
Yes, we do. So hunting and fishing is allowed on every parcel that we have that is outside of setbacks from roads and towns. So while following all other legal requirements for hunting, you are allowed to hunt on wildlife management areas.
In this particular property, hunting would be allowed, or?
That's correct, as it is on East Mountain and the surrounding WMA.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone good? Great. So, with that, I would entertain a motion. Let's see, so right now we're on item 7, to declare this parcel 212 block 00 parcel 001 East Hampton Road, Holyoke, Mass as surplus property and sell to the Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game. I mean, we have to declare it surplus first.
Isn't that number 8?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. That's correct.
So,
okay. So, but we knew that, didn't we? Okay. Well,
as a point of order, I'm just wondering if we should table number 7 and take up number 8.
That sounds, yeah.
So moved.
Great. Thank you, Counselor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
So motion to take up item 8.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ordered that the City Council declare a lot on East Hampton Road as surplus property available for disposition. Said parcel is identified by the Board of Assessors as map 212, block 00, parcel 001, consisting of vacant land of approximately 53.5 acres in size. The property is it's in the Registry of Deeds, Book 5574. On May 21st, 2007, the property was awarded to the city via land court decree. The final judgment recorded in the Hampton County Registry of Deeds. The property is zoned business general and has an assessed value of $1,119,200.
Make a motion that we adopt.
Is there a second? Second. Under discussion? Counselor McGivern?
Two requests. One, that we get a copy of the appraisal that was used for the new appraised value, and a copy of that be given to the assessors if they don't have it. Two, I think I had pushed for that RFP, and this motion failed at the last committee meeting, but Jamie did the RFP with accordance to this committee's request for the RFP, and appreciate that. Do we have copies of the RFP, Jamie? I heard you say something earlier. And
Yoni did forward them, so Yoni
okay.
did.
As long as you forward them, I'll get a copy. If I just want to, I requested. I just want to take a look at it.
Big stack.
Is it in here?
Yeah.
I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it. I'll find it. So the reason I have, and it doesn't matter with me anymore, but not different, but still some questions on 7. But on item 8, I'm in favor of declaring a purpose and allowing this property to go forward for the mayor to negotiate and accept if he so chooses, and put an offer before us. It's a lot of times uncomfortable to do both these motions in the same meeting, but it has been done. But I don't think it's the precedent that should be set. But I'm in favor of declaring it surplus.
Great, thank you. All those in favor? Any other discussion? Counselor Bartley?
Yeah, I'm going to oppose it, just for the record, and to declare surplus. I don't feel comfortable at this point at all doing this on the same time, so I'm just going to recommend that we don't do that myself. So, but we'll move forward, see what happens.
Okay. Counselor Bacon?
So I guess I would echo that I don't feel comfortable doing both at the same time, but I am comfortable with declaring it surplus.
Okay, great. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, so that's 4 ayes and 1 no. That'll be referred to the full council tomorrow. And so, motion to take up item 7.
So moved. Just a couple quick questions, if we could.
Sure. Yes?
Are we taking it off the table?
Well, all those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Surprise.
I'm sorry. I thought we put it back on the table.
Okay.
I'm getting rule conscious, Councilor Bartley, in my final 2 meetings. I won't be voting on this, and I have no problems with hunting. Where people hunt is always an issue. We have, I believe, this is Ward 7?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and we have a newly elected city councilor from Ward 7. I think she should be given an opportunity just to understand what the vote would mean if we allowed the mayor's acceptance of your offer to go through. Again, myself, I understand hunting. I just, it hit me, Joe, when I thought about, you have control some property behind Holyoke Community College?
Yes.
Okay, and there is hunting there. Yes. I think it's like the only area in the city of Holyoke you can hunt legally. I'm pretty sure that's right, not that that matters, but I just think that we need to allow her to have some input. Maybe it's not it's not residential at all, but there are a lot of people in this area for different reasons, between the golf course, between the use of our reservoir, a lot of good people doing good things. And I just want to make sure that everybody's on board with an understanding that if this goes through, it would be allowed.
Okay, Councilor Bartley.
Just have this question. I'm just going to just so everybody should be on the same page and understand how this works. So, to declare something surplus, it requires a 2/3 vote of the city council. That's 9 votes. To approve a sale requires a simple majority, so it's 7 votes. So I'm just going to say that so everybody understands what is happening here in terms of this. So, and second off, this body simply recommends. We don't do anything other than that. Obviously, we're counselors, but we just recommend to the full board. So I have no idea how the board's going to vote tomorrow, but I think in terms of practical purposes, we need to declare surplus first tomorrow, so hopefully that's the first vote taken. If that doesn't happen, then this proposal to me should be tabled or referred back to committee for further discussion. Last point, I did see the appraisal. You are right. I have it here in my computer. I do see the full fair market value. That doesn't mean I have to agree with it. So let's be super clear on that. I mean, I can side with whomever I wish, and I don't side with the appraisal. So I just want to look right at you and just, and I know you don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it either, but I just want to say it out loud so you hear me out loud. And I, especially when I take a no vote, I generally don't just vote a no and just be done with it. I usually explain myself before most of my no votes, unless I'm salty that day, but hopefully in this case I'm not. So there you go. With full respect for you guys, I just don't agree with it, and I hope we don't declare a surplus tomorrow night. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to table item 7 again.
I'll second that for the purposes of what I just said.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Me, no. So, but that's okay. And sounds like, let's hear, are you guys?
Well, it's not debatable, right? So.
No, I mean, I just haven't heard everyone say aye or no.
Oh, I took a vote.
I said all those in favor. Well, I didn't hear it, so.
I apologize, I'm sure.
First one to call me out on that, I know. All right, great. So that's getting tabled. That's unfortunate, but here we are. And with that, motion to adjourn. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, I think
we have to take up item 9?
Yeah, I think we got 9 around.
Oh, man, wishful thinking. Sorry, guys, I forgot about item 9. Thank you to everyone that came in and took the time to be here today. This will be tabled to our next DGR meeting, which we chose a date tonight of January 29th, so we'll continue to wait. Okay?
So is this to be the response to our RFI?
So no, we're tabling it. It's not, no one voted against it. I guess we're tabling it to allow the Ward 7 person to be on.
The counselor won't get sworn into January 2nd. My request, so I will explain. And I think she should be allowed to have a say in this. It's just that time of year where we just had an election and there's a turnover coming with the council.
That's understood. I think what I'm asking is the town put out for bid a property that they were attempting to sell. We responded to that bid. We were coming here this evening with an expectation that...
Microphone.
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey.
It sounds like the board is already adjourned, but
No, we haven't.
No, we're not.
That was my bad.
So what I was asking was, we came here this evening in response to an RFR that the town put out for a parcel that they were looking to sell. We submitted in full faith to the town our proposal for purchasing of that property. It sounds like your response to that RFR that we responded to is that you would now like to take a vote to make it a surplus property. Almost like you're ending the RFR without any...
No, we should have done the surplus property the last meeting. And that's just my opinion. It's my opinion, it's not everybody's opinion, to allow the RFP to go out. Selling municipal property in Massachusetts is 2 steps. Declaring surplus is always first. As Councilor Bartley says, it takes 2/3 of the legislative body to vote on that. And we're proposing, we came close to doing it 2 meetings ago. The city council may or may not approve that tomorrow, okay? The fact the RFP went out I'll let you discuss with the purchasing agent and the mayor, but this committee did ask for the RFP. At my suggestion, to see if there was anybody else out there.
So, if I may, for my own knowledge, so I guess I'm just, okay. So we could have voted for this to be surplus property a while ago, right? That was what it was for, in 8/23/23. And then this body said, we would like this to go out for RFP before we will declare it surplus. So that is what the city, that's what these folks did. And then we get what we asked for, but we didn't act on voting this as surplus before. I don't know. This is. So we will be, tomorrow night, we'll be hopefully voting to declare this surplus. I appreciate you taking the time to be here and for responding to the RFP that we asked for. So we will continue to see what happens in a month from now. Councilor Bacon.
So I just want to share my perspective on it. I've only been on this committee this term, so I'm not deeply vested in it. But in the past, the things were, as far as I know, things were declared surplus first, then the RFP went out. But we kind of got the proposal before we did the surplus declaration. So in my perspective, things just kind of went out of order, and now we're kind of doing it in the order. I mean, that's how I'm seeing it, but I can see how it doesn't come across that way. But
I just hope this body recognizes that we did do it in the right order, and then we held it up more. So that's all I'll say about that. But anyways, yeah, thank you very much. A motion to take item 9 off the table?
So moved.
Great, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item 9 from Councilor Bartley, resolution in support of paint stewardship legislation. So this was tabled October 30th, 2023, because we were waiting for some information. We wanted Carl to take a look at this, our DPW superintendent, and he did. And added, he just added a couple words.
Did a good job.
He did.
Yeah, I
Is that,
think so, but,
does that address what you were looking for, Councilor Bartley?
yeah, do you want me to go into it a little?
Sure.
Okay, so, yeah, the credit for this is Councilor Israel Rivera. And so he brought this before us, but I just was just engaging the petitioner, and I'm trying to find my note. Mr. Irwin, I knew I had it. So Mr. Irwin, and he came before us in September, and then we kind of coached him a little bit on how we do it in Holyoke relative to supporting, advocating in Boston, and we do it by a resolution. And he Mr. Irwin, produced a draft. I didn't like all of it, but he cleaned it all up, and now I think it looks great. And I hope everybody's had a chance to review it. I'm certainly warm to any changes or edits. I mean, however anybody wants to do it, but I read it a couple times. I think it looks fine. So, end of story.
Any other comments? Questions?
Motion to recommend the resolution as drafted.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
And a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.